welcome to this new channel that I've just set up. I hope you're going to enjoy watching it. This channel is basically around a habit that I've formed, which is buying old bits of rubbish and trying to do them up and sell them on eBay. This first video, we're looking at this today. It's a toy car which I bought in a charity shop for £1.50, so it's a couple of bucks to anyone in America watching, roughly. A bit less than that actually, £1.80, something like that. So it's made by Tonka, and it's made in Hong Kong. Sorry, Japan. It's made in Japan, and I believe it's from probably around about the 1970s, and it's a Clockwork dragster with this funny wheelie bar contraption underneath the car, which I believe is supposed to release and allow the car to pop a wheelie as it goes along on the Clockwork motor. It's in really not bad condition at all. It's called Wheeler Dealer. I think you can see that on the camera. And I'll be honest with you, I know very little about these. I had a couple of Tonka toys at my nanny's house when I was a kid, and I loved them. I had a big 4x4, sort of like a Chevrolet Suburban type thing. And I think I had a crane or something, I forget, but I remember loving playing with them, and they were super tough toys. And this is very, very similar. The wheels and just the tin-plated sort of feel to it is all very similar. And I've got to say, I mean, this one is in remarkable condition, given it's older than I am. So what we're going to do is take it apart, give it a clean, and just have a look at it and see how it works. It's a Clockwork motor, but it's a bit loose and a bit, I don't know if the spring might be a bit damaged in it or something, or need oiling up or something. We'll have a look when we take it apart. Just for the record, I am not an expert on these things, and I'm not going to pretend I am, so this is really a bit of trial and error for me. I've no idea what it's worth. I've no idea if we're going to make any money on it. Chances are I'll probably lose money on it, although it'll only be £1.50. And yeah, it's just going to be interesting seeing if it actually makes any money at all on eBay. So let's take it apart. Now, we do know, if I wind this back, we do know that the motor does seem to work, but it's very, very loose. And I do wonder if there's some damage to it. And as you wind it back, interestingly, as I wind it back there, the wheelie popper or wheelie bar, whatever you want to call it, this little die cast piece with a little jockey wheel on it, does go back into the car. And actually, when you release the motor, it comes back out. But as you can see, it's not exactly nitrous fueled at the moment. So we're going to have a look at the motor. We're going to see if it can come out. It's riveted on the bottom here, definitely riveted in. So I'm going to try and avoid taking out the car if I can, because I don't really want to drill the rivets out and wreck them. The body comes off on screws, as does the big block V8 motor that's been screwed into the bodywork there. So let's take it apart. And let's just have a little look at this thing, because I'm as intrigued as you guys are. This is going to be the first time I have taken it apart. So let's just take a look inside it and just see what's what, because it's quite interesting. So 2 screws, and then hopefully the bodywork. I'm kind of hoping there's a couple of tangs along the side here. We just prise them out. There we go. And the bodywork comes off in one piece. There we go. So here's the chassis, and we have got a Clockwork motor with a very, very loose spring as it happens. So not quite sure if something's maybe gone wrong there. Again, I am not an expert on these things. And then we have this almost like a cam gear on the side here. As you pull a Clockwork motor back, it pushes down, it pushes on this wheelie bar and pulls it back in. But it's almost as though the motor has unwound itself too far. Is that possible? I don't know. The spring is quite rusty in there. This Clockwork spring here, sorry, knocking the camera there. This Clockwork spring is quite rusty. The teeth on the gears all look reasonably good condition, as does the rest of the bits and pieces, and it all seems to be there. There's a piece here, this hole drilled in this little cam gear that pulls the wheel up, and then there's a protruding what looks like a Clockwork key here. I don't know if that's for another. This Clockwork motor may have been used in something else, so this may be for a key for another toy, I don't know. Or whether it links up to this cam gear here, I have no idea. So I'm sure any experts watching will be able to tell me if they do or not. And yeah, the rear axle is actually spring loaded. It's got this lovely spring loaded mechanism. Sorry, on the camera there, I didn't see that. Can you see that? With this, I'm just letting that gonna run out. This little spring here, this sort of torsioning spring here, and it actually gives it rear suspension. I think that's what it does. Yeah, it does. It's pivoting. That's a really smart piece of design. That's very cute, actually. And then the front axle is the complete opposite. It's about as basic as it gets. And the the pressed part of the body, which is supposed to be like a wishbone, upper wishbone, holds them in place. Very loose in there, but again, all this wobbly tolerance in these toys is what made them so blooming tough in the first place, I suspect. Wheels are in good condition. Tyres have gone, well, quite hard. They are probably around 40 years old now, and it looks like someone's going to get up painting them. So I think we're going to just, this muck on the chassis here is tape actually, so this should all clean off, and there's very few scratches, so I'm not going to paint it or anything like that. I'm going to leave it as original as possible, and we're just going to clean it up and just see if we can get this this motor singing. So bear with me, and it's a bit squeaky, so let's see if we can oil the motor and maybe work out why this spring has become so loose. So we're going to have a look at it and see if we can't make it any better. Right, okay, we're back with this and the wheeler dealer, and I've taken a few parts off. I've taken a torsioning spring out for the rear axle, which is this little suspension system here. And that's been removed, so I've just taken that off. It's very easy to take off. It just sits under these two tangs here. I've taken the wheelie bar off. It's just with a tang here, which I've very gently pried out of position and just pulled this pin out, which holds it through the motor, through there. And we've just taken the wheelie bar off, so it's not in the way. And that is spring loaded here, this spring here, which we can go back on. What I'd advise anyone, this is very basic, but if you're taking something apart which is a bit more complicated, it goes without saying to say take some photos. Everyone's got a phone these days. Take some photos to remind yourself how things go back together. This one is not particularly difficult to put back together, so I've not bothered. If I cock it up, hey, I've cocked it up. I'm just going to take this motor off as well, so we can give this bodywork a bit of a clean. It's just screwed in and it's just plastic, whereas the bodywork is steel with a few marks on it, interestingly. So I'm going to give the bodywork a little clean and maybe give this a little bit of a shine up as well. Oh, forgive me, it's just the ram air scoop that is screwed on. The motor is actually... No, the motor cannot be removed without damaging it. It's basically plastic welded, I suppose, if you want to say that, melted onto the tin bodywork. It's a little loose, but we can live with that. Okay, so we clean the body with all that in situ. What I really want to preserve is this lovely original sticker here, the wheeler dealer sticker. Slightly worn on this end, but can't really be helped. May just be able to touch that in with something. But I don't want to go too far around ruining it because it is so lovely and original. Inside the body, we've got some sort of muck. It's very strange. I don't know if it's part of the manufacturing process or if it's just dirt from the motor. But there's the bodywork. That was exciting, wasn't it? Taking that one piece of plastic off. This is in really not bad condition as well. A tiny bit of wear on the top where it's obviously had a bit of a stack in the past. Oh. and then you throw it on the floor. And let's give that a clean up. I may just touch it in with a bit of a silver pen or something just to give it the illusion a bit less noticeable. So really now it's just a case of trying to service this little Clockwork motor and just seeing why it goes so blooming loose. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with it, but feel free to tell me and correct me, as so many people like to do these days. And I'd love to learn. If someone wants to tell me what I'm doing wrong, by all means. So let's get some oil. I'll be back in a jiffy, and we're going to clean this up as best we can, oil the motor up, and may put a little bit of grease in it. Not too sure yet, but I don't want to overdo things. I think a little bit of light oil on a Clockwork motor would probably make the most sense. Just get it spinning a bit more sweetly. So just bear with me a sec, and I will get the oil, so don't go anywhere. Oh, and pick up the ram air scoop I just dropped on the floor. Right, welcome back. The ram air scoop survived its excursion onto the floor, so sorry about that. Right, we're back, and here we have some oil. Well, it's actually a spray lubricant that I use on real cars, and it's called Double TT. No, I'm not sponsored by them, and no, I'm not being given this or anything. I'm not trying to plug it in any way. It's just one that I've used for a long time, and it's a bit more of a modern take on WD-40 type products. Other products, of course, are available. I'm sure there are better ones. I'm sure light cycle oil or something would be sufficient. But all I'm going to do is give it a good coating of TT spray, and we're going to just see if we can get this Clockwork motor to spin a little better. Right, before we do that, I'm just going to spray a little bit of this, just happens to be what I have lying around, a bit of parts degreaser on the motor as well. It's not greasy, I don't think it is, but it's always good to just maybe clean any old dried on lubricants off there, and this stuff just eats away at it. Again, it's just cheapo. I'm not recommending this particular product, but I'm just going to give a little jet of that and just work that through. It doesn't really matter if it goes on any of the other parts, it's fairly safe. I'm just going to turn that motor around the other way and just see if we can get some of this any old lubricants off it. Feels better already actually, just having that sprayed into it. Using this, this is just an old slate. Oh yes. Immediately, that is just so much quicker. Isn't that incredible? Okay, good. Well, I'm very pleased with that. It's running much better. I'm just going to give it a dry off. A simple bit of kitchen towel. That's the nice thing about degreaser. It doesn't leave oily residue on anything. Please don't get it on your kitchen table, or your wife will kill you. Well, mine certainly will if I get it on her kitchen table, which I haven't, so that's good. So we'll just give it a little dry off. And make sure there's not too much excess in there, because it will obviously fight with the oil, I guess, when it gets back in there. Get rid of that excess there. That is so much better already, and actually you can even see that spring is looking a fair bit cleaner and less rusty. Try not to jam up any tissue. I'm going to try not to. Okay, good. So there we go. We have, well, potentially degreased it. I don't know if there was any degreasing needed in that. And now I'm going to run a bit of this into it. And I'm not going to go over the top, but I do want to get some into that spring mechanism, and into that axle there, and there, and the front axle could do with a bit as well, I suspect. And just see if we can't get it to run a bit better. It's just, it feels smoother already. It feels like there's less resistance. I'm just going to be careful I don't flick the oil everywhere. And it just feels just so much smoother. So I'm just going to work that in a few times. Good. And then we're just going to clear up the excess, and I'm going to refit all these parts, and then we'll see how we're going. Clean the body up, get it back together, and then we're going to get it on eBay, and we're going to see if it sells. And what I will do is I'll post this video before it goes onto eBay, so if anyone sees this video and wants it, you're more than welcome to place a bid on it and buy it if you so desire, if you remember it from your childhood or you desperately want it. I'll post a link to the eBay sale on the description below on the YouTube channel. So right, I'm just going to clean this excess bits and bobs up, and then we're going to get cracking with this bodywork and see if we can't make that look a bit nicer as well. Okay, so we're going to put all these bits back on. I've put the motor back together on there with the little scoop on the top, and I've given the bodywork a bit of a clean. It's cleaned up pretty nice. I'm not going to overdo it at all. It's fine. I just touched that sticker in. Doesn't look great, but it's I don't want to damage the sticker any further, trying to make it look better. So that's the bodywork. We're going to fit all these pieces now, fairly straightforward. I did end up putting a bit of grease into the motor just to make it spin a bit smoother, and I just used Vaseline. I'm sure the purists or the experts will probably complain, but I've used this on my 1/10 scale model cars for years, since I was a kid, and I've always had good results with it. It works really well as a lubricant, just a light application of it, so that's what I'm using. I don't know if that's the right thing to use, but I've put it on there, and it's running lovely. It's running really smoothly now. So I think the first thing we're going to pop back on is going to be this torsion spring for the rear suspension type arrangement, and that just locates at the base here and hooks under these two tangs, and then trying to fit it in. It has little locating holes at the bottom, and then it just slides up and over these tangs, which I will attempt to do now, like so. And just check it's all in place, and that's working fine, exactly as it should be. Lovely. Okay, so that is the rear suspension-y type thing refitted. Next job is going to be fitting the wheelie bar back on, and that is a fairly simple job as well. Just going to feed it through the chassis there, beneath the cam. Actually, I think we may have to come up through the bottom to avoid the cam there. Right, I'm going to have to move that out of the way, like so. And once that's cleared of that, we're in business, and we just locate this to the hole on the side of the Clockwork motor, and then we have this pin, which I'm going to lubricate. Actually, I haven't done that yet, with a tiny dab of Vaseline, and that just slides in from the other side. And the tang that I moved earlier out of place, we're just going to bend that back into place. So line that up with the hole. I don't think you can see this on the camera, so apologies. I haven't really got a close-up camera. I don't know if you can see that too well. This one here, and we're just going to slide that through the motor, and then it'll come out the other side, line it up on the other side. If I can, a bit fiddly, like so. So that is now in, and then we're just going to take a screwdriver and very gently move this tang back up against the pin, like so. If you pick that up on the camera, just here, and that just holds that pin in place. Very simple. And all we need to do now is refit the spring, which is here, and it literally just hooks over that and attaches onto the wheelie bar like so, and that gives it its springing effect. And that is it, essentially. All back together, all running nicely, and all ready to pop a wheelie, as we can see. Just going to pop the body back on. I cleaned this just with some polish. I don't know what's best to clean it with. I didn't want to damage the paint. I just used a very gentle polish on it, and it's shined up lovely. A bit of a microfiber cloth. Just going to relocate these tangs in the bodywork. Like so. Gently put them back in. Line the screw holes up and very loosely fit the rear one. And then we'll line up the front. Get that one in as well. Nip them up gently, don't want to damage the screws, like so. And there we have it. The wheeler dealer is put back together and appears to be working really nicely. Just going to give it a quick clean with just a microfiber cloth, just to make sure we're free of fingerprints and stuff. And that is that. And I think it's ready to go on eBay, so we're going to find out if we're going to make any money out of it. So I'll put it on eBay, I'll show you the ad, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you want to bid on it, I'll put a link to the eBay ad in the description below on the YouTube channel. So thank you for watching, and I will keep you updated on whether I actually make any money on it. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. Okay, thanks for watching.